Elena Vaughn, a composed black woman in a sharp charcoal blazer, strode confidently up to the first-class check-in at Meridian Air. Her arrival was met with a curt dismissal from the counter. "You're not on the list." Before the check-in agent could react further, Elena delivered a response that was both precise and unyielding, a lesson that would soon leave everyone reeling. With an air of quiet authority, Elena swept into Terminal B at Logan International. At 38, she was the CEO of Vaughn Innovations, a cutting-edge firm known for reviving struggling startups and molding them into profitable giants. Her reputation, meticulously built in boardrooms and patent files, stood as a testament to her resolve. Dressed in a sleek navy suit with a fitted jacket, minimalist accessories, and her hair pulled back into a low bun, Elena exuded control and purpose as she approached the counter for Flight 312 heading to San Francisco. Behind the counter, Blake Morgan, a lean man of 29 with a scruffy 5 o'clock shadow and a faded tie, sat in front of a computer, his badge barely visible over his shirt. As he glanced up at Elena, a fleeting thought crossed his mind. Another one. If she's dressed like that, she must think she's important. This won't work. That quiet internal monologue bolstered his overconfidence for just a moment before reality began to crack it apart. Blake's fingers danced confidently over the keyboard. "Boarding pass," he mumbled, scanning the document as he slid it across. "First class, 10:15 a.m., your name in bold print," he recited with a self-assured smirk. Yet, as he squinted at the displayed information, his confidence wavered. The barcode was correct, but the system stubbornly rejected it. "Nope, not in the system," Blake finally declared in a tone that tried to mask his growing unease. Almost immediately, the counter was joined by Cassandra Reed, a determined young agent of 27 with a tight ponytail and an air of authority that contrasted sharply with Blake's earlier bravado. Cassandra's stance was cool and defensive as she interjected, "The system is acting up. Step aside now, or I'll have to call security." As Blake's smirk faded into uncertainty, a subtle yet sharp internal sensation of dread crept in. He remembered his earlier thought, but now it faltered against the mounting evidence of impending failure. At that precise moment, murmurs began to echo from the waiting line. A couple of passengers exchanged looks, and one confidently declared to those around him, "Listen, she's right. Her ticket is fully confirmed." Their support cut through the tension like a clarion call, making it clear that even those in line recognized the injustice taking place. Elena, unshaken, raised her voice in a low, controlled rumble. "I'm not moving. This is my ticket. First class, fully paid and confirmed. Look again." Blake's eyes darted between the screen and Elena, his earlier assurance now entirely in shambles. His inner voice quivered. My confidence was misplaced. Now everything's unraveling as he frantically jabbed at the keys once more. The screen began to flicker erratically, rebuffing his every attempt with a cascade of error messages. The atmosphere thickened with tension. Cassandra, who had been scanning the boarding pass with a hardened expression, felt her heart pound as she witnessed Blake's futile attempts to control the situation. Though she maintained a professional exterior, internally she raced through a spiral of doubt. This is more than just a malfunction, she thought, realizing that the controlled environment was tumbling into chaos. Across the check-in area, the murmurs of discontent grew into audible complaints. A sharply dressed man in the queue bellowed, "I paid for first class. Fix this now." Nearby, a mother with a stroller shook her head, murmuring, "Unbelievable," as their voices swelled with support for Elena's claim. Cassandra felt a brief surge of vindication, and so did Blake, though his personal confidence was now replaced by a sickening realization of his incompetence. Blake's internal monologue, once so confident, now roared with regret. "I thought I had this under control, but I'm failing both her and myself." Cassandra's gaze hardened, her inner thoughts silently chastising Blake's earlier hubris as she stepped closer to Elena. "Your systems are failing," Elena stated with icy determination. "I expect a solution immediately." A tense silence fell over the counter for a moment before Martin Cole, a visibly anxious supervisor in his mid-40s with disheveled hair and a loosened tie, busted through the doorway. "Miss Vaughn, I'm so sorry. There's been an error. You're cleared. We're fixing this right away," he stammered, his voice laced with both urgency and uncertainty. His face went pale as he tried to piece together an explanation while the error messages continued to flash across the monitor. Elena's gaze fixed on Martin with a steely glare. "Fix it. I want names and reasons right now." "Why did your agents think I was a fraud?" she demanded, her tone slicing through the mounting chaos. In that heartbeat, the clamor from the waiting passengers intensified. Another voice emerged from the back of the line, a lady in a well-tailored coat, firmly stating, "Believe me, she's got everything confirmed. Don't you agree?" Several passengers nodded and murmured in agreement, lending an air of support to Elena's right. Martin stuttered, mumbling something about system errors and network flags, but the words fell empty as Elena's unwavering presence filled the space. Cassandra, who had been tightly gripping the radio, now felt her internal resolve rise. Despite the chaotic performance before her, she gathered every ounce of courage and smirked, signaling to Blake that their once assured facade had crumbled irreparably. Behind the counter, Blake's hands trembled. His earlier internal bravado was now replaced by panic, and he could only watch as his attempts to restore order led to nothing but further system collapse. "I'm trying, damn it," he cried in a voice that betrayed his mounting desperation. His earlier thought echoed bitterly. "If only I had realized sooner that not everything is so simple as it seems." Martin's radio crackled, and a voice on the other end announced, "Miss Vaughn, your ticket has been reinstated. Boarding will resume shortly. Please stand by." Elena's eyes narrowed as she addressed the dismayed supervisor. "You will provide a full explanation before I board. I want accountability." With that, she swept her gaze over the counter, leaving Blake and Cassandra visibly shaken. As Elena moved toward the gate, a few passengers exchanged glances, a mix of admiration and solidarity for the woman who had turned the tide. One murmured softly to another, "She's not backing down. I believe her claim." Another replied, "Finally, someone standing up to this nonsense." Their whispered support punctuated the chaos, affirming that even in a system rife with error, the truth could not be so easily dismissed. By the time Elena stepped onto the jetway, the entire check-in area was a simmering blend of relief and simmering outrage. Despite Blake's earlier false confidence, The internal collapse within the system mirrored his personal unraveling. Cassandra's once defiant poise had given way to cautious apprehension as she observed her colleagues struggle, both of them now caged by the consequences of their earlier underestimation. Back at the counter, Martin continued to frantically type, his face drained of color as he attempted to salvage what was left of a debacle that had spiraled out of control. Cassandra finally broke her silence with a sharp retort. They're off rotation. We'll begin mandatory retraining immediately. Today, accountability begins. Martin could only nod, knowing that the system failure had exposed a deeper institutional flaw. Meanwhile, on board Flight 312 to San Francisco, Elena's commanding presence set the tone for the flight's remainder. A quick message over her secured line confirmed that Derek Scott, her trusted COO of 30, was already securing the corporate back-end support for this incident. "Everything's been resolved," he texted briskly, though Elena's stern look suggested that the lesson was far from over. Elena's final words as she strolled down the jetway carried a weight that resonated with everyone in the terminal. "One more thing. Those responsible for undermining my status today will not be allowed near another passenger until they learn true respect. And trust me, that lesson will stick." With that, she ascended the jetway, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. A silence that was punctuated only by the murmur of supportive voices from passengers who had finally found their own voice. The debacle at Meridian Air would be talked about for weeks, a striking reminder that confidence can crumble under pressure, but truth, when backed by undeniable evidence, can force even the most flawed systems to yield. And as the aircraft taxied off the gate, those in line and on board knew they had witnessed a reversal of power, a moment when integrity outweighed pretension and complacency was replaced by accountability.